Mustafa Kemal Atatürk was born in 1881 in a three-story pink house on Islahhane Street, Kocakasim District, in Thessaloniki. His father was Ali Rıza Efendi and his mother was Zübeyde Hanım. His paternal grandfather Hafız Ahmet Efendi was one of the Kocacık Yörüks who settled in Macedonia from Konya and Aydın in the XIV-XV centuries. His mother Zübeyde Hanım was the daughter of an old Turkish family settled in Langaza, a town near Thessaloniki. Ali Rıza Efendi, who worked as a militia officer, a clerk of the XIV and a timber merchant, married Zübeyde Hanım in 1871. 4 of Atatürk's 5 siblings died at an early age. When young Mustafa reached the age of education, he started his education at Hafız Mehmet Efendi's neighborhood school and then transferred to Şemsi Efendi School upon his father's request. During this time, he lost his father. After staying with his uncle in Rapla farm for a while, he returned to Thessaloniki and finished his schooling. He enrolled in the Selanik Mulki Restiyasi. After a short time, in 1893, he entered the military Resti. At this school, his math teacher Mustafa Bey added Kemal to his name. In 1896 to 1899, he graduated from the Manastır Military School and started his education at the Military Academy in Istanbul. In 1902, he graduated with the rank of lieutenant and continued his education at the War Academy. On January 11, 1905, he graduated from the academy with the rank of captain. Between 1905 and 1907, he served in the 5th Army in Damascus. He became a senior captain in 1907. He was assigned to the 3 Army in Monastir. On April 19, 1909, he served as Chief of Staff in the movement army that entered Istanbul. In 1910, he was sent to France. He participated in the Picardy maneuvers. In 1911, he started to work under the General Staff in Istanbul. In 1911, in the war that started with the Italian attack on Tripolitania, Mustafa Kemal took part in the Tobruk and Dern region with a group of his friends. On December 22, 1911, he won the Battle of Tobruk against the Italians. On March 6, 1912, he was appointed Dern commander. When the Balkan War started in October 1912, Mustafa Kemal joined the war with the troops in Gallipoli and Bolair. He rendered great services in the recapture of Dimitoka and Edirne. In 1913, he was appointed as attaché general in Sofia. He was promoted to lieutenant colonel in 1914. His term as attaché ended in January 1915. Meanwhile, World War I had started and the Ottoman Empire was forced to enter the war. Mustafa Kemal was assigned to Tekirdağ to form the 19th Division. In World War I, which started in 1914, Mustafa Kemal wrote an epic of heroism in Çanakkale and made the Entente states say Çanakkale is impassable. On March 18, 1915, the British and French navies attempting to cross the Dardanelles suffered heavy losses and decided to land troops on the Gallipoli Peninsula. On April 25, 1915, the 19th Division, commanded by Mustafa Kemal, stopped the enemy forces landing in Ereburnu at Konkbayırı. Mustafa Kemal was promoted to colonel upon this success. On August 6 to 7, 1915, the British attacked again in Ereburnu. Anafarlar Group commander Mustafa Kemal won the Anafarlar victory on August 9 to 10. This victory was followed by Kocacık on August 17 and 2 Anafarlar on August 21. The Turkish nation, which lost approximately 253,000 martyrs in the Gallipoli Wars, was able to defend its honor against the Allied powers. Mustafa Kemal's order to his soldiers, "I do not order you to attack, I order you to die," changed the fate of the front. After the Çanakkale Wars, Mustafa Kemal served in Edirne and Diyarbakir in 1916. On April 1, 1916, he was promoted to Major General. He fought against Russian forces and helped retake Mus and Bitlis. After short-term assignments in Damascus and Aleppo, he came to Istanbul in 1917. He traveled to Germany with his guardian Vahdettin Efendi and made inspections at the front. He fell ill after this trip. He went to Vienna and Karlsbad for treatment. On August 15, 1918, he returned to Aleppo as the commander of the 7th Army. He fought successful defensive battles against the British forces on this front. One day after the signing of the Armistice of Mondros, on October 31, 1918, he was appointed as the commander of the Lightning Armies Group. Upon the abolition of this army, Mustafa Kemal came to Istanbul on November 13, 1918, and after the Çanakkale Wars, he served in Edirne and Diyarbakir in 1916. On April 1, 1916, he was promoted to Major General. He fought against Russian forces and ensured the retaking of Mus and Bitlis. After short-term assignments in Damascus and Aleppo, he came to Istanbul in 1917. He traveled to Germany with his guardian Vahdettin Efendi and made inspections at the front. He fell ill after this trip. He went to Vienna and Karlsbad for treatment. On August 15, 1918, he returned to Aleppo as the commander of the 7th Army. He fought successful defensive battles against the British forces on this front. One day after the signing of the Armistice of Mondros, on October 31, 1918, he was appointed as the commander of the Lightning Armies Group. Upon the abolition of this army, he came to Istanbul on November 13, 1918, and took office at the Ministry of War. After the Armistice of Mudros, when the Allied powers began to occupy the Ottoman lands, Mustafa Kemal sailed to Samsun on May 19, 1919 as the 9th Army Inspector. On June 22, 1919, with the circular he issued in Amaja, he declared that the nation's determination and resolve will save the nation's independence and called the Shivas Congress to meet. Between July 23 and August 7, 1919, Erzurum, and between September 4 and 11, 1919, Shivas Congress convened to determine the path to be followed for the liberation of the homeland. On December 27, 1919, he was enthusiastically welcomed in Ankara. On April 23, 1920, with the opening of the Grand National Assembly of Turkey, an important step was taken towards the establishment of the Republic of Turkey. Mustafa Kemal was elected as the president of the Assembly and the government. The Grand National Assembly of Turkey began to adopt and implement the laws necessary for the successful outcome of the War of Independence. The Turkish War of Independence began on May 15, 1919, when the first bullet was fired at the enemy during the Greek invasion of Izmir. On August 10, 1920, the militia forces called Kuvvetli fought against the victorious states of World War I, which shared the Ottoman Empire between them by signing the Treaty of Sèvres. The Grand National Assembly of Turkey established the regular army, ensured the integration of the Kuvvetli and the army, and ended the war with victory. After the victory of Sakarya, on September 19, 1921, the Grand National Assembly of Turkey awarded Mustafa Kemal the rank of Field Marshal and the title of Gazi. The War of Independence ended with the Treaty of Lausanne signed on July 24, 1923. Thus, there was no obstacle left for the establishment of a new Turkish state based on national unity on the territory of Turkey, which had been shattered by the Treaty of Sèvres, leaving the Turks a homeland the size of 5 to 6 provinces. On April 23, 1920, the opening of the Turkish Grand National Assembly in Ankara heralded the establishment of the Republic of Turkey. The parliament's successful management of the Turkish War of Independence accelerated the establishment of the new Turkish state. On November 1, 1922, the Caliphate and the Sultanate were separated and the Sultanate was abolished. Thus, the administrative ties with the Ottoman Empire were severed. On October 13, 1923, the Republic was adopted and Ataturk was unanimously elected as the first president. On October 30, 1923, the first government of the Republic was formed by İsmet İnönü. The Republic of Turkey began to rise on the foundations of sovereignty belongs to the nation unconditionally and peace at home, peace in the world. Ataturk made a series of revolutions to raise Turkey to the level of contemporary civilization. Ataturk was elected president of the Grand National Assembly of Turkey on April 24, 1920 and August 13, 1923. This presidency was at the level of the state government presidency. On October 29, 1923, the Republic was proclaimed and Ataturk was elected the first president. According to the Constitution, presidential elections were renewed every 4 years. In 1927, 1931, and 1935, the Turkish Grand National Assembly re-elected Ataturk as president. Ataturk frequently traveled around the country and inspected state activities on the spot. He gave orders to those in charge about the problems. He hosted foreign heads of state, prime ministers, ministers, and commanders who visited Turkey in his capacity as president. On October 15 to 20, 1927, he delivered his great speech on the War of Independence and the founding of the Republic, and on October 29, 1933, he delivered his 10th anniversary speech. Ataturk lived in simplicity in his private life. On January 29, 1923, he married Latif Hanım. They traveled together on many trips abroad. This marriage lasted until August 5, 1925. In 1937, he donated his farms to the treasury and some of his immovable properties to Ankara and Bursa municipalities. He allocated a share of his inheritance to his sister, his adopted children, and the Turkish language and history institutions. He loved reading, listening to music, dancing, horseback riding, and swimming. He was extremely interested in Zeybek dances, wrestling, and Rumeliya folk songs. He enjoyed playing backgammon and billiards. He cherished his horse named Sakarya and his dog Fox. He had built a rich library. He would invite statesmen, scientists, and artists to his dinners and discuss the problems of the country. He took care to dress clean and neatly. He loved nature very much. He often visited Ataturk Forest Farm and participated in the work himself. He spoke French and German. Unable to recover from cirrhosis, he passed away in Dolmabahce Palace in Istanbul. His body was buried in Ankara Ethnography Museum, his temporary resting place, with a ceremony on November 21, 1938. After the construction of Anıtkabir, his body was buried with a magnificent ceremony on November 10, 1953.